We all good to go? Great. So back in my Google Mondrian project, I'm a little more than halfway down the page on step 5. So here, we're going to add some color and some class to this project. You can go ahead and read this really quickly, but essentially what we're going to be doing is creating a class to give any div a background color of red. So just go ahead and read a little bit about classes. We talked about them before. This should be a quick refresher. Now, if you guys remember, classes, hex codes, colors, this is stuff we went over in previous lessons, but we're going to be talking about it more and more as this class goes on. So just a quick reminder on how hex codes work, because I know I didn't do a great job explaining this last time. When you have hex codes, it's kind of like a deck of cards where it counts up 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But then instead of going to 10, 11, 12, it starts with letters. So then it goes A, B, C, D, E, like that. And then all the way to F, which is the highest value. This works just like ace, or king, queen, jack, ace, stuff like that. But in this case, our values are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 total, with 16 being the highest. So F being the highest value, 0 being the lowest value. And when you do hex codes, you start with 2 numbers for red, 2 numbers for green, and 2 numbers for blue. So if it's something like F6, that's going to be the closest to the highest value of red possible. So if you do, and the highest value of green, highest value of blue. This would be as close to white as you can get. White would be F, 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 like that. And black would be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So this one right here for our drywall gray background helps us do colors like that. If we want a really red color, we make this a high value and these two low. Something along those lines. We can go into that more later on, but for now, that's all you really need to know. So go ahead and take this little bit of CSS, copy it, and paste it into your style.css file at the bottom. This red class is designated by using a period. Anytime you use a class, you designate it by putting a period in front. Anytime you use an ID, you designate it with a hashtag in front. So in this case, whatever thing we give the class of red to is going to have a background color of red. So what do you think we need to give the class of red to? The big box. That's right. So right here, it already has an ID. Let's give it a class of red. And boom, the second we do that, we finally see our web page change. Now we have a red box in the upper left of our top row div inside of our painting div. If you're getting a little confused, don't worry. This is what yours should look like right now. Take a look at, take a second. Check out your neighbor's page. Make sure they have this in their preview. If they don't, take a second, help them out, get them up to speed. I'll walk around really quickly and make sure everything's all good. So we could also use hex codes for red right here. You could call this hashtag FF0000 and it would be red too. That's the same thing, but I'm just going to stick with red for now. Let's also make some classes for blue. Let's make some classes for yellow. And one for black too. So here's all the classes I just made. Now we use classes when we want to apply a style to a couple different elements. So there's going to be a couple divs here that have a background color of red, a couple that have a background color of blue, and a couple that have background colors of yellow or black. This is why we don't use IDs, because IDs we can only apply to one element, and classes we can apply to a bunch of elements. Also, any element can have as many classes as you want. So this is why this is a nice way to do it. I'll go ahead and paste all of this code into Slack right now so that everyone has it. All right. So now we're ready to move on to step 6. So back in your Google Mondrian project, scroll down a little bit till you get about right here. Little more than halfway down the page at step 6. Now we're going to talk about floating. Floating is a concept that can be really confusing for beginners at first, but if you understand it, it'll make creating layouts a lot easier for you. So when I think about floating, I like to think of my whole web page as a river. And so I'm going to keep referring back to this idea of a river and all of our elements in our river floating upwards. But what you need to know is that when we have floating, we have a parent element and a child element. So in this case, my big box div is a child of what other div? Top row. Top row is my parent element holding, nesting the big box div. And so we can kind of think of this whole thing as a river. And everything inside my top row div is going to float up the river to the very top. But we can also tell it to float left or to float right until it bumps into something. This is a new CSS tactic that can be, like I said, really useful if you use it right. So back in your Google Mondrian project, scroll down a little bit. It's going to talk about floating. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a class called right. And we're going to give it a property float with a value of right. So go ahead and copy and paste this into your CSS right here. I'm going to do it right above the red, just like that. And nothing is going to change yet because we haven't given anything the class of right. So I'm going to save the style.css file, and back in my index.html, I'm going to go to my big box div, which I have a class of red. And if you want to give something more than one class, all you do is right after class equals, in quotations, red, put a space, and then type in the word right. And then immediately you see my div float to the right until it bumps into the wall of its parent element. This is super useful when we want to stack things in a row. So we're basically using it here to move our big red box to the right. Beautiful. Okay, we ready for step 7? Or should I take a second? Alright, so back in the Mondrian project, you can scroll down to step 7. Right down here. You can see that's what we want it to look like. We're all good. Now we're going to kick it up a notch. We're going to start adding dividers to make this thing look like an actual painting. So the first thing you need to do is to make this divider element, let's start thinking about how tall it needs to be. How tall is our top row that's holding everything here? Right, the whole box is 400 exactly. But how about just this top row? Go find the element with an ID of top row and tell me how tall it is. That's right, 290. So if we want this divider to take up the entire height of the element, what height do we need to give it? 290. And if you go back up to this image right here, this little illustration, you can see that they tell us exactly how big this div needs to be. How big is it going to be? 290 pixels tall, and how wide? 10. Awesome. So go back down. So right here, and that's exactly what they tell us. We're going to be creating a div with an ID of divider 1 and giving it a height of 290 pixels and a width of 210 pixels. Excuse me. So copy that code and paste it in your style.css file. Right here. Right below big box. Now how come nothing appears yet? We haven't created our div with an ID of divider. Exactly. So let's do that right meow. Now, where should I put it? Should I put it inside the big box? No, where should I put it? Right after big box? Okay, let's try that. Div ID equals divider 1. Bam. Okay, there it is. But notice, where is it at? It's over here. We don't want it over there. What do we need to do to make it float all the way to the right until it bumps into something? What class should I give it? That's right. Right. Oh, and also black. Yes. So actually, let's just give it the class of black first so we can see it. It's over there, right? Well, let's try it. Let's put it instead over here and see what happens in front of the big box element. Uh-oh. All kinds of things are messed up now, huh? Oh, yeah, no, that doesn't matter at all. So you can actually put the classes in whatever order you want, black and then right, or right and then black. But as long as yours looks like this, you are good to go. I'm going to show you my whole index.html page right here. That is what it looks like right now for me. And if I save this file and look at the pop-up in the next screen, yours should look like this. Look at your neighbors right now. Make sure theirs looks like this. If not, help bring them to that stage. I'm going to come around and answer any questions you guys might have right now. And we'll take care of the step 8 in the next video.